Australian actor Julian McMahon has died after a private battle with cancer at the age of 56.
In the glittering landscape of Hollywood, where stars rise and fall with the changing tides of public favor, there emerged an Australian charmer whose magnetic presence would captivate audiences across continents for over 3 decades. Julian Dana William McMahon, who left us too soon on July 2nd, 2025 at the age of 56, was more than just another handsome face gracing our screens. He was a complex tapestry of privilege and perseverance, talent and tragedy, whose journey from the halls of Australian political power to the heights of Hollywood stardom reads like a screenplay written by fate itself. Born on July 27, 1968 in Sydney, Australia, Julian entered a world where greatness was not just expected but demanded. His father, Sir William McMahon, would become Australia's Prime Minister when Julian was just 3 years old, holding the distinction of being the longest continuously serving government minister in Australian history before his premiership. His mother, Lady Sonia McMahon, née Sonia Rachel Hopkins, was a fashion icon and socialite who moved through Sydney's elite circles with effortless grace. Young Julian, the second of 3 children, grew up in a household where political discussions at the dinner table were as common as bedtime stories in other homes. The weight of such a legacy might have crushed a lesser spirit, but Julian possessed something that would serve him throughout his life: an irrepressible desire to forge his own path. Educated at the prestigious Sydney Grammar School, an all-boys institution that had shaped many of Australia's leaders, Julian initially seemed destined to follow in his father's footsteps. He enrolled at the University of Sydney to study law, then switched to the University of Wollongong to pursue economics. Yet the lecture halls and legal briefs held no allure for the young McMahon, who found himself spending more time at the university bar than in classes, as he would later admit with characteristic self-deprecating humor. It was during this period of academic restlessness that Julian discovered what would become his first calling. Blessed with striking features, piercing blue eyes, a chiseled jawline, and a physique that caught the attention of fashion scouts, he abandoned his studies after just 1 year and embarked on a modeling career. This decision, which might have seemed reckless to his politically connected family, would prove to be the first step in a journey that would take him far from the shadow of his father's legacy. The fashion world embraced Julian with open arms. His natural charisma and photogenic appeal made him a sought-after face in the industry's major capitals. From the sophisticated runways of Milan to the avant-garde studios of Paris, from the commercial powerhouse of New York to the elegant boutiques of Rome and London, Julian McMahon became a familiar presence. He appeared in campaigns for major brands, most notably starring in a Levi Strauss jeans commercial in Australia that would make him a household name in his homeland. The camera loved him, but more importantly, he understood how to work with it, a skill that would prove invaluable in his future career. Yet modeling, for all its glamour and financial rewards, was never Julian's ultimate destination. It was merely a stepping stone, a way to understand the power of image and presence that would serve him well when he made the transition to acting. That transition came in 1989 when he was cast in The Power, the Passion, an Australian television series that capitalized on the global success of American soap operas like Dynasty. The show gave Julian his first taste of acting, and he discovered that he had found his true calling. Following his 18-month stint on The Power, the Passion, Julian joined the cast of Home and Away, one of Australia's most successful television exports. The show, which had launched the careers of numerous Australian actors who would go on to international fame, provided Julian with a more substantial platform to hone his craft. His portrayal of Ben Lucini from 1990 to 1991 earned him critical acclaim and a Best Actor award from a national magazine. More than just recognition, it gave him the confidence to dream bigger. The loss of his father on March 31, 1988, when Julian was just 19, marked a turning point in his life. Sir Billy McMahon's death, occurring just 4 months before Julian's 20th birthday, freed him in some ways from the weight of political expectations, while simultaneously deepening his resolve to make his own mark on the world. The young man, who had once seemed destined for a life in law or politics, was now fully committed to the unpredictable world of entertainment. Julian's next moves demonstrated both ambition and strategic thinking. He didn't simply rest on his laurels as a successful Australian television actor. Instead, he expanded his range through stage work, appearing in a musical version of Home and Away in Britain and performing in Love Letters in Sydney and Melbourne. These theatrical experiences added depth to his abilities and prepared him for the challenges that lay ahead. The early 1990s saw Julian make the bold decision that would define the rest of his career, the move to Hollywood. After a lead role in the feature film Wet and Wild Summer, alongside Elliot Gould in 1993, Julian relocated to Los Angeles. It was a move that countless aspiring actors make, but few successfully navigate. The competition was fierce, the rejections numerous, but Julian had something that set him apart, a combination of talent, looks, and an ineffable charm that casting directors couldn't ignore. His American breakthrough came in 1993 when he was cast as Ian Rain on NBC's long-running daytime drama Another World. For 2 years, from 1993 to 1995, Julian immersed himself in the demanding world of American daytime television, where actors might have to memorize dozens of pages of dialogue daily. It was a baptism by fire that taught him the discipline and work ethic required to succeed in Hollywood. After leaving Another World, Julian made a conscious decision to diversify his portfolio. He appeared in several Los Angeles stage productions, maintaining his connection to theater while also taking on the feature film Magenta in 1997. But it was his next television role that would truly establish him as a force in American television. Cast as Detective John Grant in the NBC crime drama series Profiler, Julian found himself in a primetime drama that ran for 4 successful seasons from 1996 to 2000. The show, which followed an FBI forensic psychologist with the unique ability to see through the eyes of victims and killers, gave Julian the opportunity to showcase his dramatic range and established him as a reliable leading man. As the new millennium dawned, Julian McMahon's career was about to enter its most successful phase. The year 2000 brought him the role that would introduce him to a new generation of fans and cement his status as a television heartthrob. Cast as Cole Turner in the supernatural drama Charmed, Julian brought a complexity and magnetism to the character that transformed what could have been a standard villain role into something far more nuanced. Cole Turner was no ordinary character, half human, half demon. He was initially introduced as the human alter ego of the powerful demon Balthazar, sent to kill the Charmed Ones. But Julian's portrayal brought such depth and vulnerability to the role that Cole became one of the show's most beloved characters. His romance with Phoebe Halliwell, played by Alyssa Milano, became one of the series' central storylines, and the chemistry between the two actors was palpable. Julian appeared as a series regular in seasons 3 through 5 from 2000 to 2003, and his character's journey from villain to love interest to tragic figure showcased his range as an actor. Even after his character's death, fan demand brought him back for guest appearances in season 7 in 2005. While Charmed was still airing, Julian took on what would become perhaps his most iconic television role. In 2003, he was cast as Dr. Christian Troy in the FX medical drama series Nip Tuck, created by Ryan Murphy, who would later become one of television's most successful producers. The show, which premiered in July 2003, was unlike anything else on television at the time. Dark, provocative, and unflinching in its examination of beauty, aging, and the American obsession with perfection, Nip Tuck pushed boundaries and challenged viewers. As Christian Troy, Julian created one of television's most complex anti-heroes. Christian was a brilliant plastic surgeon whose technical skills were matched only by his emotional dysfunction. Narcissistic, sexually compulsive, and deeply damaged, Christian could have been an entirely unsympathetic character, but Julian brought a vulnerability and pain to the role that made viewers understand, if not always forgive, Christian's behavior. His partnership with Dylan Walsh's Sean McNamara created one of television's most compelling dynamics, 2 men bound by friendship, profession, and shared secrets, whose relationship was often more intimate than any of their romantic entanglements. The success of Nip Tuck was both critical and commercial. The show ran for 6 seasons through 2010, and Julian's performance earned him consistent acclaim. In 2005, he received a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actor in a Television Series, Drama, recognition that placed him among television's elite performers. The show's move from FX to the broadcast network Fox for its final seasons only expanded its audience and Julian's fame. During the height of his television success, Julian also made significant inroads into feature films. In 2005, he took on the role of Victor Von Doom, also known as Dr. Doom, in Fantastic Four. The The film, based on the Marvel Comics superhero team, was a major summer blockbuster, and Julian's portrayal of the brilliant scientist turned megalomaniacal villain demonstrated his ability to bring depth to larger-than-life characters. He would reprise the role in the 2007 sequel, Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, further cementing his place in the superhero film pantheon. That same year, Julian appeared opposite Sandra Bullock in the supernatural thriller Premonition, playing the husband of Bullock's character in a film that played with concepts of time and fate. The role showcased a different side of Julian, allowing him to play a more naturalistic character in a film that relied on emotional authenticity rather than special effects. The years following Nip Tuck saw Julian continue to work steadily in both television and film. He appeared in the sci-fi miniseries Childhood's End, based on Arthur C. Clarke's classic science fiction novel, and had a 3-episode arc in the 3rd season of the anthology series Full Circle. In 2016, he appeared in another sci-fi series, Hunters, and had a recurring role on the BBC America series Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, demonstrating his continued willingness to take on quirky, unconventional projects. Julian's connection to the comic book world continued when he was cast as Jonah in Hulu's Runaways, based on the Marvel Comics superhero team. Appearing from 2017 to 2018, the role allowed him to play a charismatic cult leader and member of an organization called Pride, once again showcasing his ability to bring complexity to morally ambiguous characters. In 2019, Julian returned to network television in a significant way when he appeared on the CBS crime drama series FBI in the guest role of Special Agent Jess LaCroix. The character proved so popular that he was given his own spin-off series, FBI Most Wanted, which premiered in 2020. As Jess LaCroix, the head of the FBI's Most Wanted unit, Julian brought gravitas and emotional depth to the procedural format. His portrayal of a dedicated law enforcement officer haunted by personal tragedy resonated with audiences and proved that, even after 3 decades in the business, he could still find new ways to connect with viewers. However, Julian's tenure on FBI Most Wanted came to a surprising end in March 2022 when he departed the series after 3 seasons. His exit was handled with characteristic professionalism, and he expressed gratitude for the experience while indicating a desire to explore new creative opportunities. Little did anyone know that his time was more limited than anyone could have imagined. Throughout his career, Julian's personal life often attracted as much attention as his professional achievements. His romantic relationships, in particular, were the subject of intense media scrutiny. In 1994, at the height of his early fame, he married Dannii Minogue, the Australian singer, songwriter, and actress, whom he had met on the set of Home and Away years earlier. The union of 2 Australian celebrities created a media frenzy, but the marriage was short-lived, ending in divorce after just 18 months. Reports suggested that the relationship was strained by career pressures, and notably, by Minogue's difficult relationship with Julian's mother, Lady Sonia McMahon. Julian's second marriage to actress and former fashion model Brooke Burns in 1999 produced his only child, a daughter named Madison. This relationship, too, ended in divorce in 2001, but Julian remained a devoted father, often speaking about how fatherhood had changed his perspective on life and given him a sense of purpose beyond his career. It wasn't until 2014 that Julian found lasting love with Kelly Paniagua, an author of children's books. Their relationship, conducted largely away from the public eye, seemed to provide Julian with the stability and happiness that had eluded him in his earlier relationships. Kelly was by his side through the final chapter of his life, providing comfort and support during his battle with cancer. The loss of his mother, Lady Sonia McMahon, on April 2, 2010, 3 days after the 22nd anniversary of his father's death, was another significant moment in Julian's life. He and his 2 sisters were at her bedside when she passed away from cancer at age 77. The experience of losing both parents, both to cancer, would take on a tragic resonance given Julian's own eventual fate. Julian McMahon's approach to his craft was always marked by a willingness to take risks and a refusal to be typecast. Whether playing a demon-human hybrid in Charmed, a narcissistic plastic surgeon in Nip Tuck, or a dedicated FBI agent in FBI Most Wanted, he brought intelligence, intensity, and emotional truth to every role. He understood that the key to playing larger-than-life characters was to find their humanity, their vulnerabilities, and their contradictions. Beyond his on-screen work, Julian was known in the industry as a consummate professional. Co-stars consistently praised his generosity, his preparation, and his ability to create a positive atmosphere on set. He was particularly noted for his mentorship of younger actors and his willingness to share his experience and knowledge with those just starting their careers. In his personal time, Julian maintained interests that reflected both his Australian roots and his adopted American lifestyle. An avid surfer, he could often be found catching waves along the California coast, finding in the ocean a peace and connection to nature that provided respite from the demands of his career. He was also passionate about cooking, often preparing meals for friends and family, and was known for his skills on a bicycle, using cycling as both exercise and meditation. The final years of Julian's life saw him continuing to work steadily, appearing in films like The Surfer and The Supremes at Earl's All You Can Eat in 2024. Even as he privately battled cancer, he maintained his professional commitments and never allowed his illness to define him publicly. His decision to keep his health struggles private was characteristic of a man who had always maintained a distinction between his public persona and his private self. When news of Julian's death on July 2, 2025, in Clearwater, Florida became public, the outpouring of grief from fans, colleagues, and friends was immediate and heartfelt. His wife Kelly's statement captured the essence of the man. Julian loved life. He loved his family. He loved his friends. He loved his work, and he loved his fans. His deepest wish was to bring joy into as many lives as possible. In assessing Julian McMahon's legacy, one must consider not just the roles he played, but the barriers he broke. As an Australian actor who successfully made the transition to American television and film, he paved the way for many of his countrymen who would follow. He proved that talent, combined with hard work and professionalism, could overcome any accent or cultural difference. His net worth, estimated at $16 million at the time of his death, tells only part of the story. The true measure of Julian McMahon's success lies in the characters he brought to life, the emotions he evoked in audiences, and the standard of excellence he maintained throughout his career. From the fashion runways of Europe to the sound stages of Hollywood, from daytime soap operas to primetime dramas, from superhero blockbusters to intimate character studies, Julian McMahon's career was marked by constant evolution and reinvention. Perhaps most importantly, Julian McMahon's life story serves as an inspiration to those who feel trapped by expectations or circumstances. The son of a prime minister who chose modeling over law, the fashion model who became a serious actor, the soap opera star who transformed into a respected dramatic performer. At every stage of his life, Julian McMahon chose to define himself on his own terms. His death at 56, in the prime of what should have been many more years of stellar performances, reminds us of life's fragility and the importance of pursuing our passions while we can. Julian McMahon did just that, leaving behind a body of work that will continue to entertain and inspire long after his passing. In the end, Julian Dana William McMahon was more than the sum of his roles. He was a son who carved his own path, a father who cherished his daughter, a husband who found true love, and an artist who never stopped challenging himself. His journey from Sydney to Hollywood, from privilege to self-made success, from model to actor to cultural icon, represents the very best of what the entertainment industry can offer. The chance to touch lives, to tell stories, and to leave the world a little brighter than you found it. As we remember Julian McMahon, we celebrate not just a talented actor, but a man who understood that true success comes not from the roles we play, but from the authenticity we bring to them. His legacy lives on in every performance captured on film, in every character that made us laugh, cry, or think, and in the memories of all those whose lives he touched. In bringing joy to millions, Julian McMahon achieved his deepest wish, and for that, we will be forever grateful.